Hey everyone, welcome to the 76th Town Hall on the 7th of June 2021. Happy Monday to everyone. I hope everyone had a great weekend. Thank you all so much for tuning in and listening to our updates. So first up, we are going to, I'm going to give an update from the People Ops side. So we have just sent out the quarterly engagement survey on Peakon. We've had a 26% response rate so far, which is brilliant. Thank you so much to everyone that has contributed their feedback and scores. I think the Peakon survey is open for another week, and we would love to hear your feedback. So please try and jump on. It only takes about 5 minutes to fill out, but all your feedback is incredibly valuable. So we really appreciate anything that you can share with us. More happy, 12 people actually have tried our coaching. We are doing a 3-month trial, so we really do appreciate any feedback on this. If it is something that you would like to continue, we really would suggest everyone to give it a go. Obviously, it's not in the US or Canada at this stage, but if you're sort of Europe-based or anywhere in a similar time zone, please do jump on, book a coaching session, try it out, let us know your feedback. If it's valuable, it's something that we can look at keeping, and if it's not, then we'll obviously have a look at other options. But thank you to the 12 people that started their coaching, and we have received your sort of feedback on the More Happy site already. Next up is LearnUps. You might have seen I've added a post on Discuss earlier today. We are just going to be starting some learning sessions. First one is going to be on the 18th of June, and the invite will go out today. That one will be hosted by Carly, and she's going to do a session regarding estate planning for crypto. So thank you so much, Carly, for stepping up and being the first one to present a LearnUp. Hosted by Yuri, and he's going to do a introduction to decentralized and blockchains for beginners. So another great session. If you jump onto the Discuss, included a form. We would love anyone to share some feedback or ideas on stuff that they would like to see more of, so other ideas for LearnUps, and likewise anyone that would like to present one and share their knowledge. Please, of the year. Next up, anniversary. So congratulations to Eduardo on your first year anniversary. So thank you so much, and welcome to Tangai, who joined as a network engineer in the Dagger team, and to Sabin and Angel, who have both joined as technical recruiters in the People Ops team. So a big welcome and good luck in your new roles. A quick hiring update. I don't normally give the hiring update, but Angel, Sabin, and Pepper will be doing this going forward. But just to give you a quick update, we've now concluded all the hiring for our desktop and security teams for now. And we are delighted that Sabin and Angel have joined us in the People Ops team. We are hiring like crazy at the moment. And so we are so thrilled that Sabin and Angel have joined. Angel will look after the NIM and VAC teams, Sabin, the product and the mobile, and everything else that comes with that. So we've currently got 15 live jobs at the moment, with obviously more getting opened later this week. All our live jobs. And we've got 8 new joiners starting in June and July. That's as of today. And no doubt we'll be getting more contracts or service agreements out in the next week. So that's it from me on the People Ops side. Next up, we're going to hear from Andrea from Mobile. So over to you, Andrea.
Thank you, Kay. Cool. So on Mobile, what we've been working on last week was communities, as always. We've also been working on pin messages, and we've been working on some performance improvements. One of the things we're working on, our developer has done some amazing work. It's not quite ready yet, but we hope it's going to be a boost in performance. Andrei made an amazing job at moving to React Native navigation. Another thing that we've been working on is EIP 1559 that is going to go live probably at some point in this summer, and that's something that we need to get ready. In terms of planned releases, we've cut the release branch for 1.14. So it's under testing. So far so good, no major blockers so far, and so hopefully we're going to be ready to release mid of this week. We'll see how it goes though. What is next is that we're going to continue working as community as always. We're going to keep working on performance improvement. We're going to finish off the work on AIP 1559, and then another feature that we're working on is message editing. And I think that's that from call, and for mobile. Thank you very much. Terry, back to you.
Thank you so much for that update. Next up is Yuri from desktop. So over to you, Yuri.
All right. So on desktop, we did last week the beta 10 release. Please go to the GitHub releases. You can get the latest. This one is the first one that we have it completely code signed and also notarized. What this means is that you no longer need to go and find the app and right-click it on Macs and specifically open it, or disable security settings in Windows. It should work like most apps now do. It might still give you a warning downloaded from the internet, like any other app, but it just works. Then we did more work on communities. There's also the component library, which probably the next town hall we'll talk more about. And we also did the edit messages. Next up, release we're planning the BT11, and next up we're going to work on message support. We're going to have this week a week to focus specifically on refactoring and improving performance. And then, of course, we're going to continue the component library. We're also working on this developer documentation, which we'll probably talk again in the next town hall. And we're also venturing into some phase 3 tasks of communities. So next slide. This is how beta 10 now looks like. And one also nice addition is that we managed to get rid of that title bar, so you can see you can see the traffic light buttons now are part of the app, so it looks like all nice and professional. This is only in Mac OS, although we'll probably do some changes in Windows soon as well to have a nice title bar. You can see there's the activity center. It doesn't show here, but that's also the contact requests, among a lot of other features. Next up, on the next slide, yes, there is. We also have the community. So again, to enable communities, you need to go to the profile advanced settings and specifically enable them, since they are work in progress. So a lot of the stuff in communities for phase 2 has been done. You can see there's the categories as well, which is quite nice. A way to organize the channels. We have to pin messages. You can have the descriptions for each community, amongst other things. And for the next slide, I mean, yes. And we're also revamping the parts of the wallet, at least for the sending the transaction dialog. So now it shows this really nice buttons instead of the slider, which could be a bit confusing before. And this is so we can next work on the EIP 1559. And that's it for now.
Thanks so much, Yuri. Really interesting. Next up, we're going to hear from Alec from Growth and Retention.
Thank you, Terry. So as a marketing team, we are always looking for new ways to grow status, and paid campaigns are an important part of status growth, which is something you all know from previous town halls. Recently, we have been internally discussing this topic a lot, and as a result, we came up with few new ideas regarding formats, messaging, markets, and audiences. We decided to test those ideas, but to do so, we needed some data. And we were wondering how paid campaigns affect acquisition, onboarding conversion rate, retention rate. And so we concluded that the best idea is to just freeze our paid campaigns for a little bit, which is what we did. In May, for 3 weeks, we had our campaigns paused. And you may wonder why 3 weeks, mainly because we had some noise coming from other marketing activities, and we just wanted to know like what the actual numbers are. So I won't bore you with the details right now, especially since some charts and reports will be widely available soon. But let's talk about the overalls, the metrics I speak about every time. So what this chart shows is the sum of Google Play and App Store app installs. Pausing campaigns resulted in over 90% decrease in app installs to around 700 per day. On the next slide, we'll see a very similar change in user acquisition. So that's what you can see. The slide shows how many new Google Play, this time only Google Play users we acquired. Now, we weren't surprised by those results. After all, the vast majority of new Google Play users came from Google Ads campaigns. So nothing interesting here, basically, that this was expected. On the next slide, we'll see how many people keep the app on their devices. So installed audience, this is the metric we use a lot, is a Google Play metric which shows how many people have the app installed on at least one device that has been turned on in the last 30 days. So note that we are still taking into account only Google Play users and no one else. So as you can see, we had a good start. In the first 10 weeks of the year, we grew by over 18,000 users per week, but the pace was slowing down. And well, after all, by the end of April, we acquired over 950,000 users with over 1 million app installs. So slowing down was expected. We knew we had to do something, and that's what I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation today. So anyways, the decrease in installed audience of less than 7% was very close to what we estimated. And like previously, all I can say is nothing to see here. Let's move on. So to the next slide. So Google Play daily active users, this is a pleasant surprise here, as this is one of our most important metrics. It decreased by 41%, despite an over 90% decrease in app installs and new users. And you may wonder, okay, so who these people are? And then the answer is on the next slide. Our top 10 is pretty much the same as it was before. But that may change in a few months. So as I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, we are testing and going to test plenty of new markets. So I hope that soon I will have some exciting status growth facts or news to tell you about. But for now, that's all from me today. Thank you, and back to you, Terry.
Thank you so much, Alec. That was really interesting. Great charts and figures there, so thanks very much. Next up, we're going to hear from Jacob from Securities and Infrastructure. Over to you, Jacob.
Thank you, Terry. As you already mentioned, we do have now our macOS application notarized, in addition to being signed, same as the Windows app, which should prevent any warnings. We're doing a lot of work with the Nimbus fleet. We're gradually moving and spreading it to different providers and different types of hosts. There's ongoing work to move it both to macOS and Windows platforms to more thoroughly test different kinds of architectures and operating systems. We're also moving to providers that are cheaper than AWS because our costs for Nimbus testnet fleets are getting ridiculous. And it still grows because Ethereum Foundation keeps coming up with new testnets for all kinds of tests, like the Nocturne testnet that recently started, which actually Nocturne is the name of a project which will consist of multiple testnets. So there's just going to be more and more hosts. It never ends. We have some new features from Waku Fleet. We have WebSockify providing WebSockets, and you can find those on our fleets.status.im site. And you can use those through our JS Waku library, as well as others. We also have dropped CORS protection from fleet.status.im, so that should make it easier to use through JS in the browser. There's also work ongoing on chat bridging. Specifically, right now, we just deployed a Matter Bridge, which bridges Discord with Waku using the Matter Bridge API. And we also have some updates to our IPFS cluster, a lot of upgrades and just general fixing of syncing issues. We have dropped Go status.im domain, which used to be, it was deployed for Go Vanity, which is a different way of managing Go dependencies. And as far as I know, nobody has used it, but you never know. We've retired it because Go.im domain has been taken over by marketing. And as far as I know, nobody has been using it. If you have used it, it's not coming back, sorry. I've reduced the size of the search cluster and moved it because we had some users, I guess, being confused by the domain search.im, which kind of appears like a website, which it isn't. It's just Elasticsearch API. So I've moved it under infra.im, so it's not as confusing. We have a lot of changes in terms of metrics. I've completely reworked the layout of the Cortex fleet, which collects our metrics, and changed the storage to DigitalOcean spaces, which should make it much cheaper. We've dropped Cassandra as our backend storage for metrics, which is just awful, absolutely awful. If you intend to use Cortex with Cassandra, just don't. It's unless you like pain, I guess. And we have also something that affects all of our fleets, but specifically metrics fleets, which is we've replaced Tink VPN with WireGuard, which is a VPN implemented in the Linux kernel, which performance is just absolutely amazing. Essentially, it improved bandwidth by tenfold, and it reduced latency at least twice. So very, very nice. If you're looking for a VPN solution, I definitely recommend WireGuard. And just general improvements to our NetData services, and also some fixes to Alert Manager, which wasn't properly sending alerts. There's also some very crude regex-based spam filtering for the bridges on Discord. I can still improve it, but it reduced the spamming a bit. But hopefully the proper solution to spam it really is communities, because the public channels are always going to be full of garbage. That's about it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jacob. Next up, we're going to hear from Guy Louis from Keycard. So over to you, Guy Louis.
Yeah, hi, everyone. So quick update about Keycard. There's been lots going on in the past weeks, and the core team's made a lot of progress here. So what's been delivered? So that was in the release 1.13. So we got new features, removing a Keycard account from the phone, removing a Keycard account from the phone and clearing the secrets on the Keycard. And we can also now create a Keycard backup card. So if you've got one Keycard, you want to create a second one in case you lose the first one. It's easy now to just back up your card and create a duplicate. And there's been lots of bug fixing. There are a couple of things that are ready that are going to land in 1.14. New features. A big one, which is that we simplified the onboarding for Keycard, because there were a lot of things, secrets that the user had to write down on a piece of paper, like the pairing code, the puke, and the seed, and maybe the pin if the user wants to write it down. And so we simplified that, and now the puke and pairing code are not part of the onboarding anymore. And users are now able to do a factory reset of the card. Factory reset means you can have your card be back at the state it was in when you first purchased Also, when the card is completely blocked. I mean, if you messed up with your puke, you want to be able to factory reset it, and now it's possible. And there's also new settings. Since the puke and pairing codes are not provided in the onboarding, they are now available to check and change in the settings section. We've also worked on the roadmap for the coming weeks for Keycard. So we're going to continue to fix and clear the bug backlog. We're going to simplify further the onboarding flow. And here I'm talking about the regular onboarding flow. I mean, when you are a user without Keycard, we're going to remove the choose storage screen that asks you if you want to store your account on the card or on the phone. And we're going to continue the improvements on this epic, which is migration of a normal account to a Keycard account, which is the actually most used scenario. Our Keycard users usually start by using a normal Keycard, a normal status account, and they want to migrate to a Keycard account. So what we're going to add is the ability to do that from a logged in state. And we also want to add the ability to do that with keeping your database, because currently the database is cleared when you migrate. And then we want to work on enabling Keycard on desktop. Can you go to the next one, please? So this was about the product per se. Now, if we look at sales, if we take a snapshot about 4 months ago and a snapshot now, the monthly sales have improved times 1.5 to 2 times. So that's pretty good, and that's explained by a couple of things. iOS is available since last March for Keycard. We've got a better customer service now since we support DHL Express service worldwide, so we can deliver quite fast anywhere in the world. And we also have this upsell banner in the app. But overall, that's pretty satisfactory to see that the sales are growing. And we are also brainstorming and trying to find solutions to serve the Brazilian market better. Actually, in one of the Alex slides earlier on, you could see that Brazil is we've got a lot of users in Brazil. It's not easy to import products in Brazil. There are a lot of taxes, so we're looking at ways to have our Keycards distributed in Brazil in a easier manner. And in terms of manufacturing, we've got a new lot that was produced and received last week from our factory. And that's it for Keycard. Can you go to the next slide, please? So I'm going to present with Hanno the VAC and the Waku update this week. Next one, please. So Waku V2 is our decentralized messaging protocol. It's been in development for quite some time now, and the team's been focused both on issues to make Waku V2 production ready and also work on protocol research, obviously. Currently, there is a very strong focus on dog fooding the tech we have developed and making it robust. For Memo, there are a couple of implementations of Waku V2, which are Nim Waku in Nim language, which is the main reference implementation. We've got Go Waku, which is implemented by the desktop and mobile team, and that's what we will use in our status desktop and mobile clients. And there is GS Waku, which is a JavaScript based for web applications. We also have a testnet. The latest iteration is called Huilong. It's mostly been deployed for core developers to dog food Waku V2 for now. It's got its own roadmap too that you can check in the GitHub issue here. In any case, this testnet is live now. It's being used by core devs. It's being used to chat about Waku. So you guys can, and actually you should try to use it. You can interact with this channel either from a CLI tool called Chat2. You can check on the link here to use it, or you can even more simply interact with it from the browser through a web chat application, developed by Frank, which is using JS Waku. And kudos to Arthur that helped with bridging this channel with Discord. A word about GoWaku. It's progressed a lot, and we're super close now to be able to test Waku V2 from the mobile or the desktop app. There will initially be a switch in these apps that will allow to toggle from Waku V1, just like we use currently, to Waku V2. So please stay tuned about this, but we are all going to be able soon to test Waku V2 from our apps. On the marketing side, there's been work to improve our web presence, especially the positioning of our brands. I mean, VAC is our R&D unit working on several subjects, including Waku, obviously, which is the main subject today, but also things like Dagger. And Waku is one of the products that the team is working on. And kudos to John, Johnny, and Ned for the help on the marketing side here. Yeah, this slide, I will let Hanno present it.
Actually, can you go to the next slide, please, which is specifically Waku?
Yeah.
But it covers a lot of the previous slide as well. We have been quite busy on the Waku side. We've recently done our pre-release 03, which was a big one, and it contained many new protocols, which is just listed on the previous slide. And initial implementation of those protocols, including light push for resource-restricted devices, a bridge between Waku V1 and V2, and many more. We introduced some peer management for our unique requirements. Our APIs were expanded significantly, including the JSON RPC API, which is interoperable, and we're getting great feedback from third-party users like Wallet Connect on this as well. We've also introduced a toy chat application, which both you and Jakob have mentioned, Guy-Louis, which is basically a showcase of Waku V2, and that is currently being used for dog fooding. And then our next release is coming up very shortly, in a week or so. It will mostly contain stability fixes, but it focuses on this upcoming testnet with some new chat features, including the bridging to Discord. That was also already mentioned. And in the longer term, on the Waku side, we'll continue to focus on turning VAC research into practice. For example, we've already started on this implementation of a more fault-tolerant store protocol, some swap accounting and settlement, DNS-based methods of key discovery, etc. And if you have any questions on the work that Waku is doing, please feel free to contact me or anyone else in the team, and we'll be happy to help. And I guess that's over to you, Guy-Louis, for the next slide.
Yeah, and actually, my bad, Terry, if you can just go back 2 slides. I missed one. Yeah, this one. Well, I don't have much to say about it, but it's on the research side, what the team has been working on. There's a list of specs improvements and the general research subjects that were worked on. So you can check these links here. And also kudos to Sanas and Oscar, who spoke at Zero Knowledge podcast about all those subjects. Yeah, Terry, if you can go just 2 slides. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so we have Waku V2 that's being productivized with the test fleet and within an integration in the status app. But what we are building is way larger than this, and we want Waku V2 to be used by the rest of the ecosystem. So we want dApp developers and wallet developers those will need a messaging protocol to have a library which is easy to use and which works out of the box, and that's JS Waku. It's a JavaScript library that allows a app or wallet to communicate with the Waku V2 network. And yes, Waku is available. It's I mean, dApps and wallets can already send and receive messages, send messages with confirmations, and query nodes for messages that might have been missed. So this is live. This is available. This can be played with. And actually, you can check that out with a simple click on the link here. This web chat showcase. It's a web chat app that Frank has developed, and with one click, you're chatting on hashtag Waku channel on the Waku V2 testnet. So again, that's the place where we guys can discuss Waku. We can use this web app. You can use the CLI tool that was mentioned earlier. And it's also bridged in read-only mode in Discord. We also had a bounty at the 0x hack workshop, and it was pretty satisfactory because we had 3 submissions done here. Quite interesting. You can check Frank debrief on the VAC forum, actually. And the winner from this workshop was a hand-to-hand encrypted message service linked to the user Ethereum address. So that's really interesting. There's also, I mean, if you want to know more about all this, you should check Frank's blog post from last week. Very complete, very interesting. And one last note about the applications that GS Waku can enable, because it's not only about messaging for human communication. It's also a great way to allow gasless voting. Votes are, in this case, messages that are sent over Waku V2. And we are actually building a dApp for creation of communities as part of our upcoming community feature. And the votes for the creation are going to be done over Waku. Can you go to the next one, please, Terry? Thanks. Well, you can see that there's a lot going on in the VAC team. And there's a lot of ambition to open up what we do to the whole community. So we have a couple of positions open. They are listed here. So please, if you want to contribute, please apply to this. If you know some people that could be interested, just pass them the message. And by the way, remember that there's a referral bonus if you refer someone who is then hired. So thanks for passing the message. And yeah, that's it for VAC.
Thank you so much, Guy Louis and Hanno, for that update. Much appreciated. And over to Johnny from marketing for your update.
Thanks, Terry. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Cool. So in Latin America, we continue to make pretty good progress. Juan David, Eduardo, and everyone, and Alan have been working with our agency Arigato to get continued press coverage, which is nice. And we've actually launched localized channels on Instagram because, once again, that channel is just so it's so important in the region. So they've done great work there. We're starting to see those channels grow. And Alex is also supporting with content. So you can just see some of the stuff that we're making on the right there. In South Korea, Jinho has been working with an agency called D-Spread, and we've gotten pretty good press coverage there. The PR teams produced a lot of content with Jinho. And as part of the campaign that we ran, we introduced what we called phase 0 of a node program. What it was is it was a closed invite-only invitation to set up and run a status node. There's no crypto economic incentive behind it. It was really just to produce some material, and there's a link there, produce some educational material to help people set up a node with AWS, and just to see kind of what roadblocks there were, what issues there were, and learn from that. And so we got 25 people running nodes, which was great. And we're going to look to increase that in the next month and expand it outside of Korea. So great work on that, Jinho, and Jakob as well for helping out put together the material. Jinho's got, additional plans in the market as well. So really excited to see what's happening in Korea. We've also identified, and it's not really anything super new, but significant S&T trade volume does come out of Korea. So we're trying to just help educate people there and tap into the market a bit more. In terms of the core app, as Andrea mentioned, we will be preparing release comms this week. And outside of the release, we're doing a lot of message testing across various channels. So Nick, across Twitter and other social, we're pushing out messaging around crypto social to try and just tap into that, upcoming trend, and learn, what value propositions in terms of the communities feature resonate most with different types of communities, different types of, users and in different markets. So we're going to be pushing that kind of content out over the course of the next few weeks, months as well. And then what we learn from that will inform a general repositioning or rebranding of the product. When we do launch communities, we want to ensure that we have the right content, the right positioning, the right product messaging to support that launch. And so we're doing all this work now ahead of the potential of the launch later on. From a growth perspective, Simon's been working on a few different things. As mentioned before, it was called the Earn DApp. They're coming up with a few different names now, but it's basically a third-party application that we've worked on with EthWorks that educates people on different projects in the space and then rewards them with that project's token. And we're trying to launch that fairly soon. We're just kind of coming up with the organizational structure behind it. But that should be a pretty nice growth driver into Status as well, as it will be only offered inside of Status. It also, Simon should probably just have given this update, but ahead of the community's launch, we're doing a bunch of research into various other partner programs, modeling after Discord and other fairly large, Web2 companies, just to see how they've done it and how we can learn and take those partner portals, partner programs, and launch those for the community's feature. He's also investigating various token swap options now that we've got the on-ramp stuff relatively sorted. That's all just in legal, or we're finalizing contracts with the crypto on-ramps now. So he's looking at different swap options. And as mentioned by Guy Louis, we have been doing a fair amount of work on VAC and Waku branding and web properties, and looking forward to creating product pages for Frank's work and the machine-to-machine kind of dApp Connect. And as mentioned, also by Guy Louis, we did see some pretty cool submissions in the 0x hackathon, so didn't want to forget that. And that's it for me. Thanks, Terry.
Thanks very much, Johnny, for the update. And that's it from us. The next town hall will be on the 5th of July. Thank you, everyone, for listening and tuning in. And also a big thank you for everyone that presented today with their great updates. Much appreciated. Have a good week ahead, everyone.